This is the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. First, the headlines. Police begin probe over tanker explosion incident in Delta. FCTA begins airport roads streetlight upgrade in Abuja. FG scholars in China, Russia weep over unpaid allowance. Senate committee to probe safety issues in aviation sector. Netanyahu says Israel cannot accept Hamas demands. Ian Wright finds charges in Arsenal squad. Charlie Boy speaks about his father, Justice Oputa. Now the news in details. Commissioner of Police, Delta State Command Olufemi Abiniwanda has led an investigating team to the site of Friday's fuel-laden tanker explosion, which led to the death of no fewer than 7 people at the Omechan Community Junction along the Warri-Sapele Road in Okpe local government area of the state. The team, led by the Deputy Commissioner of Police, DCP Aina Adesola, said the investigating team stormed the accident scene and took some eyewitness accounts of the tragic occurrence, especially from traders and artisans who operated along the highway. The team also engaged some community leaders in discussions to have first-hand information on the extent of damage caused by the fire. The police team also commiserated with the victims of the explosion, particularly the families of the deceased and the entire community, for the lives and property that were lost during the incident, adding that the team's visitation was based on the directive of the CP Abaniwanda to ascertain the actual cause of the accident and how the tanker explosion and its devastating consequences occurred. Delta State Governor Sheriff Oberewori has commiserated with Omechan community in Okwe local government area of the state over the death of 7 indigents of the community from the tanker fire accident. Speaking at the accident scene, Oberewori, flanked by the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Ememotimi Gowors, and former chairman of Okwe Local Government Council, Isaiah Esiowa, sympathized with the community on the unfortunate incident. The incident also left some buildings, including residential, makeshift caravans, vehicles, and heavy-duty trucks, destroyed, while the mother of the 3-year-old child was entrapped in the raging fire as she was making spirited efforts to rescue her child. Delta State Government Committee for the Management of AWU Camp, set up to cater for internally displaced persons over the Okwama killings of Ugeli South Local Government, Abraham Ogbodo, has explained why the camp has not been open to IDPs 10 days after the inauguration of the committee. Ogbodo said the delay was as a result of the enormous work needed to make the site ready to receive the expected internally displaced persons. His explanation came amid reluctance among Okwama people to yield to Governor Sheriff Oberewori's call on all residents displaced by the crisis to move into the camp for proper welfare as a first step towards the resettlement to their community, where the military sacked them in the wake of the March 14 killing of 17 soldiers. He identified the place set up for the camp as Ewu Grammar School, where the abandoned and dilapidated part of the school was being renovated. Political analysts are urging Edo State Governor Obaseki to reconcile with the People's Democratic Party faction in order to save his political career. Speaking on Atlantic Television Open Air, a political analyst, Ugochukwu Ifeanyichukwu, said it will be dangerous and detrimental to his political career should Governor Obaseki fail to reconcile with the legacy group of the PDP faction in Edo State.
Because from what we heard from the legacy group last week, I never knew there is also a window of opportunity for Obaseki to retrace his steps. But you know, the traditional Nigerian politicians, as I will say, they're always full of self-confidence. Obaseki is digging his political grave, and to the disadvantage of the person who has already emerged as the PDP flag bearer. You know,
in view of the political structure in Edo State, Olonwe Godwin also said Governor Obaseki was elected into office by the Edo people, even though the legacy group played a vital role to his success as the governor of Edo State.
Because we are all aware that the people of Edo State unanimously, it was beyond party. It was more of sympathy. It was more of revote. It was more of a referendum against godfatherism. We shouldn't forget so soon. The Edo is not Lagos phrase. Then you are aware, while they were speaking to the likes of Oshomole and the president, that Edo is not Lagos. We are aware. It trended for long.
This is coming after Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki had threatened to deal with members of the legacy group, a faction in the state chapter of the People's Democratic Party, if they continue to divide the party. Obaseki issued the threat. Governor Umoeno has thrown his weight behind physically challenged entrepreneurs of over 779 persons with an award of 400 million naira business grant by the state government. The grant was part of the Entrepreneurship Accelerator program initiated by state government. During the presentation ceremony held at the Government House Banquet Hall in Oyo, Eno was moved by compassion, directed that one of the beneficiaries, Akman, be provided with appropriate mobility aids and additional support, and described the beneficiaries as ambassadors of the Entrepreneurship Accelerator program, urging them to focus on their businesses rather than getting involved in politics. Earlier, the team lead of IBOM Leadership and Entrepreneurship Development, Imoabasi Jacob, commended the governor for supporting the business community in the state and assured that with proper training, the grants would result in fruitful outcomes for all beneficiaries. In her keynote address, the head of Alumni Directorate and Support Services, Enterprise Development Center, Pan-Atlantic University, Lagos, Nena Ugu, advised the beneficiaries to cultivate a culture of discipline, commitment, and focus on achieving success in their respective ventures. Indigenous people of Biafra has accused the EEDC company to ensure adequate power supply or vacate the southeast for others who can light up the region. A statement signed by its spokesman, Ima Powerful, the group vowed to shut down EEDC's offices in the southeast if electricity supply is not normalized in the region, stressing that the company has refused to give its consumers energy prepaid electricity meters but keeps giving illegal estimated bills. IPOB also alleged that the Enugu Electricity Distribution Company dismantled some communities' faulty transformers for repairs and maintenance, but failed to return it for 5 years, and some 5 years till date, those transformers were not restored nor seen. Men of the Lagos State Police State would have arrested 2 fraud suspects who allegedly specialize in defrauding members of the public. Police spokesperson in the state, SP Benjamin Hundain, who confirmed the arrest in a post he shared on his X handle, said that the suspects were arrested by officers from Isokoko Division of the Command following a distress call. According to him, preliminary investigation reveals that many people have fallen victim to their scheme. The spokesperson said that investigation into the case was ongoing. Osun State government has obeyed the order of an Osun State High Court which restrained Governor Ademola Adeleke from presenting staff of office to the new Ari of Ire, Oba Muritala Oyelakin. The State Commissioner for Information and Public Enlightenment, Kolapo Alimi, in a statement in Osobo, however, clarified that Oba Oyelakin had been appointed and installed, while in Osun State High Court sitting in Osobo had restrained the delegate from presenting staff of the office to Oba Oyelakin. Reacting to the development, Alimi said the state government had postponed until further notice the formal presentation of staff of office and instrument of appointment to Oba Oyelakin in obedience to the order of the court, and recalled that Osun State Executive Council, presided over by Adeleke, approved by the appointment of the monarch on March 6, 2024, and the presentation of staff of office to him had been stated for Saturday. The commissioner subsequently urged the monarch and the people of Ire to remain calm and law-abiding in spite of the court's decision. Campaign organization of Ondo State Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa has denied claims that the governor's camp has been divided over a disagreement concerning the choice of his running mate ahead of the governorship election in the state. This is coming after Aiyedatiwa won the governorship primary of the All Progressives Congress held in Akure, while some chieftains of the ruling party have been lobbying to be his running mate for the upcoming election. The chieftain of the party said some loyalists of the governor in the northern and central senatorial districts of the state do not want him to pick his incumbent deputy governor Olaide Adelami as his running mate for the forthcoming governorship poll. The chieftain, however, said the national leadership of the party was already looking into the matter, while the spokesman of the Lucky Aiyedatiwa campaign organization, Foot Soldiers, Mr. Kayode Faswa, said the Aiyedatiwa's political team was intact without any division. Ogun State Governor Prince Dapo Abiodun has affiliated the Oba Sikiru Adetona College of Governance with the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies, Kuru, JOS, for the training of high-ranking government officials. The governor, who disclosed this at the 90th birthday and 64th coronation anniversary Thanksgiving of the Awujale and paramount ruler of Ijebu land, Oba Sikiru Kayode Adetona, held at the Cathedral Church of Our Saviour Ita Olowajoda Ijasi, Ijebode, said permanent secretaries from the state would be the first to be enrolled to enable them benefit from the college, which is the brainchild of the Awujale. Prince Abiodun also said that he sought and got the approval of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to grant the college the full status of the campus of the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies, Kuru, JOS. Abiodun described Oba Adetona as a living legend and a phenomenon whose reign has been a monumental success and a pride to the entire Ijebu land and the state at large. In his sermon titled Serve the Lord with Gladness, Dean Emeritus, Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion, the Most Reverend Dr. Ephraim Adebola Ademowo said God's purpose for man was to serve him unconditionally, adding that no man serves God faithfully without rewards. Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has described as illegal regulations 126 and 127 of the Nigerian police, which allows for the dismissal of unmarried policewomen who become pregnant during their service. The three-man panel of the court also asked the respondents, the Attorney General of the Federation, the Police Service Commission, and the Nigerian Police Force to carry out a comprehensive review of the entire police regulations to ensure that they accord with the demands of a modern society operating under the rule of law. Justice Olubunmi Oyewole, who read the lead judgment, which was unanimously adopted by the other members of the panel, Justice Bukola Banjoko and Chief Okon Agbang, gave the judgment in the suit filed by the appellants, the incorporated trustees of the Nigerian Bar Association, against the three respondents. The legal battle began on February 15, 2021, when the Nigerian Bar Association filed an originating summons challenging the discriminatory practices within the Nigerian police force, and after taking the argument, Chief Justice Inyang Ekwo of the Federal High Court, Abuja, delivered his judgment February 21, 2022, where he dismissed the appellant's action for lacking in merit. To satisfy, the appellant approached the court via a notice of appeal filed on March 15, 2022, containing 6 grounds, and in the judgment, the Court of Appeal unanimously allowed the appeal, overturning the Federal High Court's decision in favor of the Nigerian Bar Association while the court held that regulations 126 and 127 of the Police Act interfere with the privacy of the lives of female police officers and discriminate them on their basis of their gender. Federal Capital Territory Authority has commenced the upgrade of the airport Abuja Lightning with intelligent smart light emitting diode lights. The upgrade is to actualize the vision of a greater FCT that will complement the ongoing infrastructural development. The coordinator of Abuja Metropolitan Management Council, Felix Obwa, in a statement said that there are plans to migrate all major Abuja roads and streets to small LED, and the contract had already been awarded, adding that it would be taking bit by bit. This is coming after Obwa last week decried the attitude of some streetlight contractors that failed to meet up with standards, threatening to blacklist them. However, in a statement by the executive director, TJAF Multi-Concept Limited, Ronke Ozo, said the company in charge of the project, Concrete Thinking Limited, recently commenced the upgrade, adding that thousands of units of smart LED will be fixed from the airport road area to the central area of the FCT to give it the befitting looks of the smart city. Zamfara State Chapter of the All Progressives Congress has condemned protests against the Minister of State for Defense, Bello Mohammed Matawale. The protesters marched to the headquarters of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission in Abuja, demanding the investigation of corruption allegations against the minister. A statement by the Zamfara APC described the protesters as a rented crowd. The Zamfara State APC Publicity Secretary Malam Yusuf Idris Gusau, who disclosed this in a statement in Gusau, said the allegations against Matawale are false, while the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission explained to the sponsored protesters that the Commission's constitutional mandate is not driven by personal vendettas, political differences and tribal sentiment, but focused to uphold the rule of law and combating financial crimes without fear or favor. Kebbi State Governor Nasir Idris says he will sign death sentence against people spying information for bandits in the state. Idris, who gave the warning during a visit to the inhabitants of Tudunbichi in Wasagu, chiefdom of Danko Wasagu local government area, to the condole with them on the recurring attacks by bandits, was highly furious about devilish acts of informants and made it clear that he would append his signature to the death warrant of convicting informants. Idris gave an assurance that his administration would continue to provide the necessary support to the security agencies with emphasis on logistics, welfare of troops, and other material requirements for combat readiness and operational successes to defeat the bandits in the state. He also accepted the request for immediate rehabilitation of the 3-kilometer road linking the village with Wasagu that had become impassable due to bridge collapse. Civilian Joint Task Force says 11 persons are feared dead and 5 injured when 2 vehicles drove over landmines in Gamboru, Ngala and Dikwa local government areas of Borno State over the last 1 week. Those dead comprised 9 personnel of the Civilian Task Force who died last Saturday at Gamboru, Ngala local government area, and 2 civilians who died Saturday, May 4th at Dikwa local government area. Borno State CJTF spokesperson Bashir Abbas, who disclosed this, said their vehicle drove over a landmine suspected to have been planted by terrorists, while 9 of them died on the spot and 2 got serious injuries and were rushed to the hospital of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital as the vehicle was completely damaged. However, 7th Division spokesman Lieutenant Colonel Ajemusu Jinjina has not made comment on how the military would combat the new strategies by the terrorists. Association of Local Governments of Nigeria says it is not happy why several local governments do not pay the national minimum wage agreed upon by the governor and organized labor. The body warned the 14 local governments to desist from such acts and pay local government workers the agreed national wage. Algon President Alhaji Maifata Moazu said some local governments still find it difficult to pay the former minimum wage of 18,000 naira, which had since 2019 been changed to 30,000 naira by the federal government and warned that once a new minimum wage regime begins after government approval, there should be no excuse for the LGs not to pay their workers the agreed wage. This is coming after President Bola Tinubu had on Workers' Day promised through the Minister of State, Labour and Employment, Nkiruka Onyejiocha, a fair wage for the workers, adding that the new minimum wage would take effect from May 1st, 2024, irrespective of when the committee completes its job. Argon President also said the federal government received over 50%, followed by states, while the local government is left with 20%. While the national president of the Nigeria Union of Local Government Employees, Olatunji Ambali, faulted Argon's stance on the sharing formula, adding that the union could have raised the alarm long ago. Igbos in diaspora are calling for justice, equity and fair play in the trial of terrorism offences brought against the leader of indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, by the federal government. The group specifically pleaded with the trial judge, Justice Binta Nyako of the Federal High Court in Abuja, not to tilt in favor of the federal government in the trial, but to uphold fairness and the sanctity of judiciary in resolving the matter. In an open letter to the judge, the Igbos in diaspora, operating under the aegis of the American Veterans of Igbo Descent and Igbo Descent, asked Justice Nyako to follow the dictates of Nigeria's constitution and relevant laws to do justice and free Kanu from the charges. The letter, signed by Dr. Sylvester Onya and Godson Obiagu, President and Secretary respectively, they begged the judge to consider the admonitions of the Supreme Court that the bail earlier granted him ought not to have been revoked, adding that the request should have been granted in view of the deteriorating health condition of the IPOB leader. This is coming from the Court of Appeal in Abuja, had last year discharged Kanu from terrorism charges against him by the federal government and ordered his immediate unconditional release. But the federal government appealed the judgment at the Supreme Court, which government won, but the court in a comment held that Kanu's bail ought to not have been revoked. You are watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. We return after this break.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring honest pop news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what's the blood.
I have fought very firmly.
Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing. You human trafficker. You understand.
Welcome back. This is the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. Now the rest of our stories. Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has dismissed claims that 58 former governors are being investigated for corruption. The head of media and publicity of the anti-graft agency, Dele Oyewale, who described the list as disingenuous fabrication, said it is a phantom report circulating in sections of the media claiming it has released a full list of ex-governors being investigated for alleged corruption. A statement said the claim is false and mischievous as the Commission neither issued the said list nor entertained discussions on investigation of ex-governors with any news medium. It advised the media to cross-check facts pertaining to matters under investigation with the Commission to avoid misleading the public with false and Former manager at Fair City Monument Bank in Onitsha, Nwachukwu Placidus, has been convicted to face a total of 121 years in prison for fraudulent activities. The court found him guilty of diverting 112.1 million naira from a customer's fixed deposit fund for personal gain. A statement by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission indicated that Placidus was arraigned before Justice S.N. Odili of the Anambra State High Court on 16 charges, including forgery, stealing, obtaining by false pretense, and altering. The case stemmed from a complaint by the bank alleging that Placidus, while serving as the branch manager of FCMB in Onitsha, received the funds for a fixed deposit but failed to remit them as claimed. While on investigation, the EFCC discovered that Placidus diverted the money for personal use and provided a fake fixed deposit certificate to the bank and has been sentenced and will serve time in a correctional center. In the judgment, Justice Odili sentenced Placidus to 9 years imprisonment on one count, 4 years on another, and 9 years each on the remaining counts. He was acquitted on 2 counts, with the sentences to run concurrently. Minister of Police Affairs Senator Ibrahim Gaidam says the services of Youth Corps members were crucial to ensuring the safety, security and well-being of citizens. Speaking during the presentation of a report on the role of the National Youth Service Corps in improving policing in Nigeria held in Abuja, Gaidam said Corps members' roles in the ministry are a testament to their willingness to serve and protect the country with honor and dignity, Gaidam said in a statement. Signed by the Deputy Director of Information and Public Relations in the Ministry, Bolaji Kazim, said the momentous occasion of the NYSC book launch and presentation program stands as a testimony to the unity, diversity and strength of Nigeria, adding that the NYSC program is a catalyst for accelerated national development and implored the Corps members to take with utmost seriousness the nation's clarion call to selfless service. In his goodwill message, the Director General of NYSC, represented by Assistant Director of Human Resources Management in the Federal Capital Territory, Chika Chris Moneke, lauded the conducive atmosphere created for the Corps members to come up with the initiative of contributing to policing in the country. Meanwhile, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Police Affairs, Dr. Nasir Sani Guazo, said the commitment, zeal, and courage of the Corps members serving in the ministry to learn and contribute to the policing development in the country, and also commended all the directors who have contributed to mentoring the Corps members and enabling them to bring their innovation, youthfulness, and technology to the system. Nigerians studying abroad on scholarship are weeping over the non-payment of their stipends for the past 11 months by the federal government. The students under the Union Nigerian Bilateral Education Agreement scholars in a statement said that the situation has left them in serious financial hardships, which have also affected their academic performances. The scholarship scheme is being supervised by the Federal Scholarship Board under the Federal Ministry of Education, adding that despite efforts to get their message to the government through respective embassies and the Federal Scholarship Board, their pleas have been left unresolved. They also noted that abysmal living conditions in the countries of study and decided the situation in countries like Venezuela and Morocco, where there are no adequate provisions for accommodation, thereby forcing the students to take apartments and pay rent every month. Pure water seller Ugu Augustus has secured a full scholarship into the university after scoring 309 in the 2024 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination. According to Alex Onia, the founder of Educare, an organization that prepares candidates for UTME, Augustus left 2 years left school 2 years ago and was challenged to join the preparatory class and score above 300 to get a full scholarship. His handwork was rewarded when UTME results were released, and he had an aggregate score of 309. Onya also said Augustus has created a study group with his classmates where he coaches them on weekends, and all of them scored high. According to figures released by the Joint Admission Examination Board, 77% of the 1.8 million candidates whose results were released scored less than 200. Director General, Nigeria Natural Medicine Development Agency, Professor Martins Emeje, has urged the federal government to make local drug production a priority. In his call to mark World Health Day, Emeje said President Bola Tinubu should be talking about cutting down the importation of foreign drugs, as the country has the infrastructure and human capital to produce locally made drugs, adding that the strategy that the country has been using since colonial times has kept it where it is, suggesting that Nigeria needs a change of strategy. He said Nigeria cannot achieve a change in outcome if it continues with the same strategy, describing it as an independent on importation or pharmaceuticals, and advocated the improvement of indigenous medicine, saying the country must begin to make it a priority. He also said the Nigeria Natural Medicine Development Agency is working towards establishing herbal medicine centers in all the 774 local governments in the country, and that the agency was already developing a database of all traditional medicine practitioners in the country and the type of products and services they render for comprehensive documentation. Director General, National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, Professor Mijosola Adeyeye, also says the agency is working towards improving the local production of drugs in the country. She said local production would help address the high cost of drugs nationwide. A statement by NAFDAC's resident media consultant, Sayo Akintola Adeyeye, said the administration of President Tinubu administration stresses the significance of local content, which is in tandem with the agency's goals, thereby leading to an increase in the nation's GDP and a reduced unemployment rate. The NAFDAC boss blamed the devaluation of Naira as a significant factor for the high cost of local production, as the high exchange rate had made procurement of raw materials and equipment imported for production extremely high. They also said from the initiative, more than 30% of new companies in Nigeria are results of the 5+5 scheme, which has many importers to start building their own companies or partnering with local manufacturers through contract manufacturing. Nigerian Bar Association has cleared 37 contestants vying for various positions in this forthcoming election. It said disqualified candidates reserve the rights to appeal the National Officers Election Appeal Committee, while the NBA election is scheduled to take place 20th and 22nd July, and all registered members from branches across the country are expected to participate. It also said an electronic voting system has been adopted by the body for the election to enable its members to participate in the election seamlessly from their different locations. The document signed by the Chairman, Electoral Committee of the NBA, Olutoyin Obimbola, and the Secretary, Huwaila Ibrahim, respectively, listed the names cleared for the forthcoming election of national officers and NBA representatives as the General Council of Bar. In the category of the President, Alpha Mosigwe, Tubena Erojikwe, and Chukwuka Nwabweze were listed, and in the category for the first Vice President had Gerard Aboniyi, Reginald Ugwadu, Bartholomew Agwebodo, Sosa Priye Williams, and Iwezo Promise Webo Iwezo, while the second Vice President, Bolatomi Animation, and Owo Edemudia were listed, as well as others. Minority Caucus in the House of Representatives has advised the President Tinubu-led administration to prioritize the well-being of Nigerians, adding that it will be left with no option but to take its advocacy to the masses to demand good governance. The caucus also pledged to champion the welfare of Nigerians through legislative interventions at all times. The federal lawmakers, led by the minority leader of the House of Representatives, Kingsley Chinda, urged the federal government to promote incentives that would make living less expensive for the Nigerians. In the manner, it frequently increased the cost of petroleum and electricity. The caucus called on the government to urgently consider a living wage for the Nigerian worker and commence implementation with the same speed that she implements an increase in taxes or tariffs in the populace. The lawmaker, who represents Obiapo Federal Constituency, however, did not disclose the options the caucus is set to present before the government or the alternative policies it is preparing to give Nigerians. Joint Committee of the Senate and the House of Representatives on Aviation said it has concluded plans to probe the Safety Investigations Bureau and airlines operating in Nigeria over alleged sharp practices. Chairman House Committee on Aviation Technology, Abiodun Akinlade, said the committee would ensure the safety of Nigerians flying on local and international airlines, adding that safety of citizens is a priority of the stakeholders and operators in the society to comply with global set standards. According to the lawmaker, there were loopholes in the aviation industry that needed attention, which the joint committees of the upper and lower legislative chambers would like to address in the interest of air travelers. Unnecessary amendments will be carried out by the legislators. Akinlade assured that upon resumption, investigation will be carried out on the root causes of industry issues, including requesting audit reports on the airlines and reports from safety investigation bureaus. In view of the lingering fuel scarcity across the country, marketers under the aegis of Independent Petroleum Marketers of Nigeria says their National Executive Council will be meeting officially on Monday to find a lasting solution to the problem. National President of IPMAN, Ahmed Fashola, said that Monday's meeting became expedient following the prevalence of fuel scarcity despite recent aggressive moves by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, adding that the NNPC, which is the sole importer of petroleum products in the country, opened up its reserves in all existing depots across the country in a bid to ease off the long queues at the fuel stations. Also, Major Energies Marketers Association of Nigeria had it in a statement confirmed receiving 300 million liters of fuel from 8 vessels during the week, which it said has been distributed to its members in Apapa and other locations in Lagos. This is coming after the Southwest Regional Coordinator of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, Ayo Cardoso, had also said that aside from the 240 million liters offloaded at various depots and close to 85 million liters of petrol was offloaded, however, the Petroleum Products Retail Outlets Owners Association of Nigeria held a meeting with other independent marketers in a bid to end the lingering fuel scarcity in the country, while Dr. Billy Harry said aside from developing new ways to prevent hoarding of petroleum products in the country, the meeting was held to discuss the products that can directly get to Nigerians, including those in the rural areas at the given official rate. Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Olayemi Cardoso, says the huge purchase of foodstuffs by the government as palliatives is contributing to galloping the food inflation in the country. He said the MPC increased the benchmark interest rate to 24.75% from 22.75%, while the committee said that its hawkish stance was to tackle inflation. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, the surge in food inflation could be attributed to rising prices for items such as gari, millet, yam, tuber, water yam, and others. Following the removal of fuel subsidy, the federal government approved 5 billion naira for each state and federal capital territory to enable them to procure food items for distribution to the poor in their respective states, while the CBN governor said inflationary pressure had failed to abate despite the hike in interest rates in February. He also said that new sources of inflation were better addressed by the fiscal authorities to complement the efforts of monetary policy. Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria has expressed confidence that a consistent inflow of tax revenue will yield development. The CITN President Samuel Agbeluyi, who disclosed this at the All Secondary School Tax in Benin, Edo State, said that they enjoy the intellectually stimulating display of knowledge in taxation by the students and that the process was fair, transparent, and it produced the best as winners. Also speaking at the event, the chairman of Student Affairs and Tertiary Institution Relations Committee, Dr. Abiola Adimola, stressed the need to enlighten students to understand the role of tax in the development of an economy. Ademola, who was represented by her vice, Imabi Victor, said the CITN is playing a key role in improving tax policies and guidelines that would be mutually beneficial to both the government and taxpayers in the country. Newly appointed Director General, Securities and Exchange Commission, Dr. Ememotimi Agama, will meet the local and international crypto exchanges on Monday to discuss and seek consensus on the status of crypto in the country. The meeting, convened by the Blockchain Industry Coordinating Committee of Nigeria, would address relevant issues and chart a progressive course for crypto regulations, according to BICCON Chair Loki Ukwakwe, who spoke with Cointelegraph, said the meeting is open to all digital assets exchange operators, wallet providers, or other virtual asset service providers and relevant industry associations and bodies to address relevant issues and chart a progressive course for crypto regulations in Nigeria. He said Agama aimed to engage with key stakeholders in the blockchain and current cryptocurrency ecosystem to address regulatory challenges and opportunities through collaborative dialogue, and expressed hope that the meeting could spark the right kind of change that would favor all crypto stakeholders in Nigeria and internationally. This is coming after Nigeria has taken steps contradicting its December 2023 decision to lift a crypto ban and has since launched probes into the use of cryptocurrency in the country. Federal government says it is planning the suspension of a $56.7 billion peer-to-peer cryptocurrency market after a crucial meeting between the Securities and Exchange Commission and digital asset operators scheduled for Monday, according to the 2023 Geography of Cryptocurrency report by Chain Analysts. A United States of America-based international blockchain analysis firm said Nigeria's volume of crypto transactions grew by 9% year-over-year to $56.7 billion between July 2022 and June 2023. The latest move by the SEC signals a broader effort by the federal government to tighten regulatory oversight within the cryptocurrency space amidst growing concerns over illicit activities and the manipulation of the Naira exchange rate. This is coming after the Central Bank of Nigeria had stopped major fintechs firms from onboarding new customers in an ongoing audit of their Know Your Customer process. Following the regulatory action, March fintech firms, including OPay and PalmPay, warning them against trading in cryptocurrency or any virtual currency on their apps and threatened to block any accounts found engaging in such activities. BICCON said the newly appointed Director General of the Nigeria Security and Exchange Commission has proposed an industry-wide meeting with the Nigeria blockchain community, which will be facilitated by the Blockchain Industry Coordinating Committee of Nigeria. Federal government says it is planning to reduce the number of security checks at the country's airports. The development comes as the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria and the Office of the National Security Advisor partner to cut down on multiple security checks at Nigerian airports. Olubunmi Kuku, Managing Director of FAAN, said the agency and the Office of the National Security Advisor have agreed to reduce the number of agencies at the airports because of routine checks. In spite of several billions of naira from the ecological funds, not less than 27 states, including the Federal Capital Territory, have recorded delays in the implementation of ecological projects that were approved since 2017. The Ecological Fund, established by the federal government, aims to address diverse environmental and ecological challenges faced by communities nationwide, and ecological problems include soil erosion, landslides, flooding, drought, deforestation, desertation, and pollution. This year, the federal government disturbed disbursed 6.5 billion naira ecological fund in March alone, according to data obtained from the Federation Allocation Account Committee. Said the affected areas are Jigawa, Adamawa, Anambra, Cross River, Kebbi, Katsina, Kaduna, Akwa Ibom, and Nasarawa, while others are Ebonyi State, Lagos State, Benue, Kogi, Osun, Ogun, Bauchi, Delta, Niger, and Gombe states, including others. Out of the amount, Delta State obtained the highest amount of 19.2 billion, followed by Bayelsa State, 2.3 billion naira, then Cross River State, 645.3 million naira, while between 2015 and 2017, Nigeria witnessed significant efforts to tackle ecological challenges through various projects, while several of the projects initiated by the federal government remain incomplete despite substantial investments. Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission says it will begin the process of blocking loan apps that harass their customers. The Commission's acting chairman, Adamu Abdullahi, who disclosed this, the agency is addressing the issues stressing that many Nigerians have complained about the harassment by the loan sharks. This is coming after, in March, the Nigeria Data Protection Commission said it was investigating over 400 cases of privacy breaches, including online loan apps, while investigations have revealed that loan apps are overly intrusive. The Commission said it is also seeking a ban or restriction on mobile numbers found to have been used by lenders to breach the privacy of their customers. You are still watching the news on Atlantic Television Network. Now to international tidbits. Aggrieved northern leaders have rejected the federal government policy led by President Bola Tinubu for allowing the United States, U.S. and French governments to relocate their family bases from the Sahel to Nigeria. They cautioned that allowing the U.S. and French government to carry out such move posed danger to Nigeria. A letter addressed to Tinubu and the National Assembly, signed by Abubakar Mohammed of the Center for Democratic Development, Research and Training, Kabiru Chafe, former Minister of State for Petroleum Resources from the Arewa Research and Development Project, Atahiru Jega, former Chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission, Jibrin Ibrahim of the Center for Democracy and Development, as well as Awal Musa of the Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, and Wazi Yao of the Center for Information and Technology and Development, claimed that the U.S. and French governments have allegedly been lobbying Nigeria and other countries in the region to sign new defense pacts allowing them to redeploy their expelled troops. The groups also expressed concerns about the economic and environmental impacts of hosting foreign military bases, adding that the presence of foreign military bases in Nigeria would worsen already strained relations between Nigeria and neighboring French countries. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel will not accept Hamas's demands for Israel to end the Gaza war. This is coming after negotiators resumed talks in Egypt to broker a pause in Israel's Gaza offensive in return for the release of hostages taken by Hamas. Netanyahu said the proposed deal would keep Hamas in control of Gaza, posing a threat to Israel, while the wording being discussed in the Cairo talks involves a 40-day pause in fighting while hostages are released and the release of a number of Palestinian prisoners being held in Israeli jails. An advisor to the Hamas leader, Ismail Haniyeh, said the group was looking at the latest proposal with full seriousness and repeated a demand that any deal would have to explicitly include an Israeli withdrawal from Gaza and complete end to the war. Netanyahu also said Israel is ready to accept a situation in which the Hamas battalions come out of their bunkers, take control of Gaza again, review their military infrastructure, and return to threatening the citizens of Israel in the surrounding communities, in the cities of the south and in all parts of the country. Massive flooding and landslide triggered by days of heavy rain in Brazil's southernmost state have killed 55 people. Officials say another 74 people are missing in Rio Grande do Sul, and early 25,000 residents have been forced to leave their homes since the storms began last Saturday. At least 500,000 were without power and clean water, while Rio Grande do Sul's civil defense said 55 deaths were confirmed as linked to the flood, while another 7 deaths are being investigated to ascertain if they are connected. The extreme weather has been caused by a rare combination of hotter than average temperatures, high humidity, and strong winds, and more than half of the 497 cities in the state have been affected by the storms, with roads and bridges destroyed in several areas. The storms also caused landslides and the collapse of a hydroelectric dam near the city of Bento Goncalves, killing 30 people. 16-year-old boy has been shot dead by police in Western Australia's capital, Perth, after he stabbed a man in the back with a knife. Western Australia Premier Roger Cook said the boy was rushed to the hospital but died, while his victim, who was not known to him, is in a serious but stable condition, adding that